Hey, Jeff here. I want to do a quick thread response. Everybody seems to be jumping on Chris Propfe, Musically Obsessed's thread today. Can you tell I'm kind of I'm going for that Chris Propfe look? See that? My alignment? Let's see if I can do this. Anyway, so the gist of this thread is he added 2021 together, add them up together, and yeah, he was right. It's 5. So he said, show me a band's 5th album and talk about it. So at first you're like, wow, there's a lot of bands I like that have 5 albums, but for some reason, literally the first band, I guess, really, that came to mind was this band. So let's talk Stryper. Stryper's 5th album is very pivotal, it's a very key moment for the band. It's called Against the Law. 1990, 5th album. It was a different album for them. A lot of things were changing. There was some turmoil in the band. They were some issues going on behind the scenes. The band was always known to be squeaky clean, Christian, good boys, choir boys for Christian rock. When they knew in real life, they struggled with that image, I guess. And they were changing it up here. This was their most different album. Their first 4 albums, very melodic, the squeaky clean makeup, squeaky clean 80s hair metal, blah, blah, blah. On this album, they got all heavy. They changed the colors. Out were the yellow and black Bumblebee suits. In was the blue and black. They did a cover tune for Shining Star. That was their video. The music, they have a song, the last song on here, they started getting a little risque with their lyrics, so the last song is Rock the Hell Out of You. Oh, Christian band talking about a Christian word. Anyway, and, I even noticed the press kit that came out back in the day was a video of them in the studio making an album, and it had some, questionable language on there. Well, at least one time. So you're just like, oh, this was the 90s, late 80s, and, Christian music was still struggling Christian rock was still struggling to be accepted. And so here comes one of the the homeboy rock bands, and oh no, they're against the law. That sounds all rebellious, and they got cover tunes, secular music, and some bad language. Anyway, the album itself, if you're not familiar with this, Michael Sweet wrote a book, honestly, a few years ago, was it 2014 or so, where he talked about all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on. And so check this out if you haven't. It's some really good stuff. This was also the last album by Stryper for that time period. Michael Sweet, the singer, left. Started a solo career a couple years later. The band did continue on. They did a few shows, my understanding is, with Dale Thompson of Bride, who was probably at that point, known as one of the most powerhouse, singers in Christian rock. And I've seen a picture of him wearing the blue and the black. As far as I know, there's no evidence, video, or any other real photos or anything. It'd be nice to see what that really sounded like. But there have been shows that I have seen recorded bootlegs of the band performing without Michael as a 3-piece with Oz Fox singing. And I got to tell you, it's not Stryper, Michael Sweet, but it was pretty good. Now, he went on, Oz Fox did do, after the band, called it quits, he did a band called Sin Dizzy. That album was released on vinyl not too long ago, actually. It's just a couple demos. So, I mean, he can carry a tune pretty good. But he did the Stryper tunes pretty good justice, I think, for what they did. It was quite an interesting concert. But so it was a very pivotal moment in the band because, again, they were changing their sound. They were very much more aggressive, a lot less squeaky clean, a lot less polished, just really more gritty. It's really an amazing album. Now, most people that I know who are big Stryper fans love this album. But Stryper, or at least Michael Sweet, didn't. And I remember I interviewed him a handful of years ago and asked him about this, and he's like, well, look, when you have an album that it goes against everything that you establish yourself as, and you've got an album that is just so unlike everything you've done before, it was almost like he felt like they ruined themselves. And so he really did not give much respect to this. They never really played songs by it in concert, though they have in recent years brought in one or two songs. They had a handful of videos from this. It was, got some airplay. They did a lot of night shows and stuff. They were really trying to break out of that box of squeaky clean Christian band. And so the lyrics are more, about relationships and things along that line. There's not the Jesus-y lyrics. It's more songs like Lady. The video looked like it had some risque moments in it. People were really coming down on them and kind of turned on them even after this. The Christian market didn't know how to take it, and I guess, I don't know what, but the band at this point dissolved and went their separate ways. The singer, Michael Sweet, went on to do a bunch of solo albums, and it wasn't until the early 2000s that the band finally gave it another try to give it a shot to see, what could happen, and the rest is history, because they have gotten better and better and better and better, and every album that they put out since then has just been, it just tops it. They're just great. They're consistently great. But this album, fifth album, the end of the band for that era, it really caused some stink. Let me see. Yeah, even the images for the inside. So you got the band, and they're in, a jail cell. It's a black and white picture, so you can't see the blue and black. The costumes look really cool. I've got a promo photo of that. Anyway, here they are on the back. And they're all looking like they're criminals. Sorry about that. The idea behind Against the Law is, and the song itself explains it for the most part, they were being held in a box by everybody, and especially the Christian market. And you can't do this, you can't do that. They were really being criticized, and they were basically saying, look, we don't have to do what you say. We're against your law. They weren't against the law. It wasn't against cops. It wasn't against God's law. It was strictly, stop trying to make us out to be something we're not. We're not going to mold into your characteristics. Is really kind of the idea behind it. So, yes, it is considered one of their heavier albums. Now, this is before, of course, they got all heavier in these recent years, but it is, in a lot of people's minds, and mine too, I love all their stuff, but it's a really great album. I listen to it quite a bit. It is quite different, but still has a Stryper sound to me. So anyway, that's it for this thread. We're going to do Stryper, fifth album. Thanks a lot for watching. Rock on.